Superman has been protecting our planet for years and years. After his long career, Lex Luthor has finally decided to put an end to him out of jealousy. In the Daily Planet, Lois Lane is fighting with her editor, Perry White, because she wants to expose Lex as the fraud he is. Jimmy Olsen is eavesdropping on the conversation, but Perry still denies her the article. Clark is packing his things to catch a flight on his way to be a foreign correspondent. He says goodbye to Lois before traveling to Afghanistan, but she's cold to him. Meanwhile, a bunch of people are carrying out a suspicious operation in some caves. They are drilling deep so that Superman can't find them. Lex is drilling into the Earth's core to allegedly find a new energy source. Suddenly, they find something that looks alien. Word gets back to Lex, who's having a moment. Lex has created a cure for all muscle diseases, but decides to turn it into a lifetime treatment program to keep the money flowing. Sounds like real-life corporations, am I right? Finally, his assistant then tells him about his project. Meanwhile, Superman is at his Fortress of Solitude. He is trying to cure cancer, but is unable to do so. He wishes he could do more to help humanity, instead of the rich elites who sit and do nothing. Lois then comes out of the shower. As it turns out, the cold shoulder was just a front. She starts complaining about the place, and Superman tells her he's going to use his X-ray vision on her.
Naughty, naughty, you teasing me, you naughty, naughty.
The droid looks at them suspiciously. Then we exit the scene. At Lex's site, they show him the alien ship, and Lex wants whatever's inside. They open it up, and all hell breaks loose. An alien projection comes up, but no one understands anything. But Lex figures it's a warning. Suddenly, something punches its way out, tearing the people apart. Everyone is destroyed, and nothing can hold it back. Lex watches all of this unfold, and if you know Lex Luthor, he's formulating a sinister plan. He theorizes that aliens trapped this beast and dumped it on Earth because they couldn't kill it. Finally, the beast kills an innocent reindeer. Meanwhile, after Superman and Lois are done with the business, Lois then says she's worried about Clark. What? Turns out she doesn't know they're the same person and is playing both people at the same time.
She belongs to the streets.
Lois is suspicious of Superman's identity and demands to know his real name. He responds that it's Kal-El.
Gotcha, bitch!
Later on, a man is sleeping when he is interrupted by noise from outside. He gets jumped by the beast and shoots it, but it does nothing. Lex is worried about the beast and the police, so he orders his assistant to get rid of any trace of LexCorp. Meanwhile, Lois is still digging into Superman. He tells her that he hides his identity from her to keep her safe, but she says that he's afraid of commitment and keeps complaining. She wants to know a name to call him by, other than Superman, but Superman is conflicted. As that is happening, the beast makes its way to the city and jumps a truck, getting rid of the driver and causing a huge crash. It comes out of the fire and sets its sights on Metropolis. Superman confronts Lois and kisses her before telling her that maybe she's right, but they're interrupted by news of the accident that happened. The creature, known as Doomsday, was designed to be the perfect soldier, but it doesn't know the difference between friend and foe, so its goal is to kill all life forms. Doomsday gets to Metropolis and starts taking out everyone left and right. Superman drops off Lois to safety before heading to face the beast, but Lois won't have it. Doomsday is still killing soldiers and nothing can stop it. It lifts a tank and takes heavy fire from troops, but luckily, Superman arrives just in time to save them. He blows Doomsday with his mouth and ends up freezing him, but it doesn't hold. Doomsday bursts all over him, and they begin fighting. Superman gets overpowered, and the fight gets violent. He's thrown all over the city, and at the same time, Lois gets a genius idea to fly a chopper. Superman comes back to deliver the smackdown on Doomsday. Lois arrives at the scene, but Superman gets powerbombed and kicked around. He gets destroyed and stomped into the ground, but then Doomsday turns his sights on the chopper. He jumps onto them, but Superman catches up. He's able to fend him off and throws him down before saving the chopper and landing it safely. Lois is a dumbass. Superman tells Lois to get out of there before heading back to face Doomsday. The two collide and continue to battle, neither gaining the upper hand for long. All that is unfolding in front of Lex's eyes. Superman gets dragged through the city and thrown like a rag doll. The fight gets to the metro, and a train almost crashes into them, but Superman pays the price. Echoes of the battle sound throughout the city until Superman is thrown back, but he can't allow the people to get hit. Superman has never taken a pounding like that before, but he can also dish it. Doomsday, however, can dish it even more. Things are not looking good so far as Superman is held at Doomsday's mercy, getting pounded hard. A crying baby saves Superman from the final blow, and Superman quickly grabs Doomsday and flies off into space with him, before falling down to deliver the greatest German suplex the world has ever seen. They blaze through the air until they crash, leaving a massive crater behind. Doomsday finally seems to have died, with Superman coming out of the smoke, but he crumbles. Everyone is safe, that's all that matters to him, and he goes out in Lois's arms. "Where is all your complaining now, Lois?" Martha is also crying in front of the TV, and even Lex is shook. Later on, Superman is buried as a hero. He died defending Metropolis and is given a memorial. Everyone pays their respects. James gets an offer from a mysterious publisher, and Lois finds Lex has arrived at the scene. The funeral is watched by millions worldwide, and they decide to celebrate his memories. Jimmy is thinking about the offer he received, while Lois is explaining to the boss that Clark isn't coming back. Perry tells her that she needs to occupy herself somehow, so she decides to pay Martha a visit. Martha tries to keep up the front, but Lois lets her in that she knows. She continues to complain even here, even while the man is dead. "This isn't about you, Lois, goddammit." Martha comforts her and decides to make her coffee. "You've come to make a grieving mother work." Back at Metropolis, crime is soaring. Lex donated $10 million to the Metropolis Department, but the death of Superman is something that nothing can fix. Jimmy visits the mystery man and shakes his hand. Lois and Perry are angry that he's leaving. Perry decides that Jimmy is weak and isn't a man. What a boss. Perry warns Lois that she can't put herself at risk anymore, as Superman isn't here to save her stupid ass anymore. Lex is saddened by the death of Superman as he believes he was taken too soon. He feels he was cheated of his brilliant plan and that the death was random. He then shoots his assistant after she cleaned up his involvement, so take out anyone who knows. That's cold, Lex. Meanwhile, there's a trapped school bus with a mechanical monster controlled by Toyman. Everyone is running rampant now that Superman isn't here anymore. Lois is up to something as usual, and the police withdraw from the scene. She boards the bus and finds a creepy toy, but quickly destroys it. She saves the children, but the toy comes back, alerting Toyman. He finds Lois inside and attacks her, but he can't reach her. Meanwhile, Superman is turning in his grave. Just as Toyman throws the bus, it is stopped. Superman is back. He begins cleaning house right away, cleaning after Lois's mess, and takes out Toyman with ease. The people rejoice, and he brings in Toyman before leaving. Of course, Lois is still with him. We can see that he still didn't gain any sense after dying. They fly back to her place, and he drops her off, but he needs time to get used to coming back, and the selfish Lois isn't having it. A press conference is held to deliver a warning to the criminals. The streets of Metropolis will be safe again. Martha can't believe that her boy is back and is actually happy, unlike Lois, who is moping away at work. Superman looks like he means business when he visits Lex, but Lex is waiting for him. He guides him to reach his location and finally finds a door. Something seems off. It's a trap.
It's a trap!
Lex has red solar lamps and kryptonite, red and green, to take out the naughty Superman. Lex punishes him for leaving him. He pounds on him and bursts all over him before asking him who's his daddy. Lex then reveals that this isn't the real Superman.
What?
Lex has sculpted a Superman clone from the blood at the scene of the battle. It has his strengths and weaknesses, but not his brains. Lex can't complain though, but he has Superman's body in his basement. Since Lex was not in control of Superman's death, he has decided to create a new one. Back at the Daily Planet, someone has replaced Clark's desk. She gets a call from Martha, who says that Clark hasn't even visited yet. She makes up a lie about him being busy. That night, Jimmy is at a nightclub when Lois decides to pay him a visit. She pulls him by his earring to have a word with him. She complains about what he's become, then complains about Superman again. After a picture of Superman and Lex, they suspect that it's not him, but Jimmy refuses to help. Meanwhile, Lex is surprised to find Superman missing. There was a 19-second blackout in the middle of the night and someone grabbed him. He's been placed back at the Fortress of Solitude and saved by his robots. The fake Superman is patrolling the city and overhears news that Toyman escaped and killed a little girl. Back at the fortress, the real Superman wakes up, and it seems that the laws of human death don't apply to the Man of Steel. His vitals had slowed to a single pulse, and the robot used the second pulse 17 days later to find him. After being told Lex cloned him, he gets up to go back. The robot orders him to regain his strength, as so far the clone is protecting Metropolis. Toyman is being taken to custody when the clone decides to take Toyman and deliver the law in his own way. He soars high in the sky with him before dropping him back down. Clone Superman has snapped. Meanwhile, Lois gets word of what happened and rushes to the scene. She finds Jimmy taking pictures and walks away. Superman is in a press conference and says that an example needs to be set. He now considers himself to be the authority, judge, jury, and executioner. A cat is stuck on top of a tree and Superman saves it. The owner is scared and he gives her a stern warning not to be careless again. Suddenly, police arrive to arrest Superman, but he says he's a little busy. The cops try to use force, but Superman destroys them before flying away. Back at the fortress, Superman is being pumped with solar energy to regain strength. Meanwhile, the clone is getting scolded by Lex for getting wild. Lex hands him a list of competitors to deal with and warns him that he can take him out of this world if he wanted. On the streets, the people are now scared of Superman. He decides to get rid of the list and enters a salon. After helping himself to a chair, he x-rays himself and finds a chip planted inside him. He uses his heat vision on himself to the people's horror and cuts out the chip inside before casually walking out. At night, Lex gets a visit from Lois. She tells him he finally won and confronts him about Superman. But before she goes, she needs to know the truth before she leaves Metropolis. Lex figures out that they were more than friends and he takes advantage of the situation. Just as we think that Lois belongs to the streets, turns out she played Lex. She hits him with something and he passes out before she calls Jimmy to get him over and starts digging into Lex's files. Time is limited and she finds a file on genetic research. Meanwhile, Superman is getting back to peak condition. Lois and Jimmy find where Superman was being kept and use Lex to open the door. They find tons of clones that are still in baby form. Lois is then horrified to find an adult Superman, an army of Supermen. They figure out that the Superman out there is a fake, and just like that, Lex wakes up. He walks them down and whips out his gun, but before he can fire, the clone lasers his gun. Lex tries activating the chip inside him, but he is horrified to find it's gone. The clone begins taking out every other clone in the place, destroying everything Lex had built. Finally, in the wake of the destruction, Superman orders them to evacuate and goes after Lex, who hides in the Red Room, putting on these kryptonite hands. Suddenly, though, Superman just closes the door.
Psych! That's the wrong number!
Superman lifts the entire room off and flies away with it, dropping Lex and sending him crashing. Back at the real Superman, he's finally ready. The news is warning everyone of Superman, and a military action might happen. Superman straps up with only 67% of his strength back, but it'll have to do as the military is advancing toward the clone. Superman is equipped with a new suit and is given a kryptonite cannon to even the playing field. With that, he sets off. Lois and Jimmy sneak inside while the military sets their sights on Superman. None of them believe they can kill Superman, but they are following orders. As they're scared, Superman fires first and destroys them. He's attacked with fighter jets, but they're obliterated as well. The choppers also don't stand a chance. As Jimmy is taking pictures, the real Superman is back. He confronts his clone about his methods, and the clone tells him that he's not needed. He misses the kryptonite shot, and they begin fighting. The fight echoes around the city, and Lois once again decides to stick her nose where it doesn't belong. The two Supermen play laser tag until the real one is knocked down, but he quickly comes back, smashing the clone's ass, but not for long. Superman gets his ass handed to him, and Lois drives her way over. He gets power-bombed again, but comes back with chains around the clone, sending him into the water, but the clone sends back a ship. They continue to fight as the real Superman is out of shape, but not out of heart and determination. The clone finally bleeds and suggests they stop fighting, claiming they're the same, but Superman would never. Lois retrieves the kryptonite gun to take it back while Superman is getting destroyed. His shrine falls, but then the clone gets shot. The clone then lasers the gun before the real Superman tackles him, and the fight continues. Superman gets wrecked, but before he's about to be crushed, he hits the clone with a kryptonite gas bomb, making him weak and evening the playing field. As the clone is dying, he asks Superman to protect the people. Lois then complains again and asks for proof he's real. Street tendencies, I tell you. The people then start to trust Superman right away as if nothing happened. Later on, Lois and Superman have moved in together, and he finally lets her know that he's Clark, as if she didn't already know. The story ends happily ever after, or does it? Lex is still alive thinking about Superman with a sinister plan in mind. If you're a fan of Superman, you definitely have seen the panel with his cape flying in the air with blood on it. This was probably the best story adaptation to how Superman dies and comes back. This movie would have been perfect if it wasn't for the annoying Lois Lane. She ruined this movie for us. Well, this brings us to the end of today's video. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to our channel to get more videos like this one. Your support helps us grow. And tell me what you think about this film. What did you think of Lois Lane? Do you also prefer Superman to be the classic good guy who does no wrong? Or did you prefer the clone with an edge, taking out the evil guys for good? Let me know in the comments below. I read all of them. And if you're watching till now, thank you. I'll see you in another video soon.